Before praying, let us read Psalm 5:3. In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning I lay my requests before you and wait expectantly. This gentle verse invites our hearts into a quiet beginning, where every breath becomes a prayer and every thought rests in God's loving presence. As dawn unfolds, we are reminded that we are not alone, but gently held within divine care. In that stillness, we are reminded that His wisdom is greater than our worries, and His love reaches into every hidden place within us, bringing healing, calm, clarity, and renewed hope into our lives each morning again. This morning prayer becomes a gentle bridge between our inner world and the presence of God who lovingly watches over us. It is not about perfect words or polished expressions, but about honest connection and sincere surrender. We come as we are, carrying our burdens and our gratitude together in one quiet offering. As we speak or remain silent, God understands every unspoken feeling and every hidden desire within our hearts. He meets us there with compassion that never fades and mercy that renews itself every single day, gently lifting us toward peace and steady hope again and again always. There is a quiet strength that grows within us when we begin our day with God. It does not rush or demand attention, but slowly builds like the rising light that fills the sky at dawn. This strength allows us to face challenges with patience and to respond to others with kindness instead of fear. It reminds us that we are supported by a love that never weakens and never abandons us. Even in difficulty, we remain grounded in a peace that cannot be easily shaken or taken away, because God walks beside us through every moment today with love. When we offer our first thoughts to God, we create space for His wisdom to guide our decisions throughout the day. Instead of reacting quickly or becoming overwhelmed, we learn to pause and remember His presence with us. This awareness gently shapes the way we speak, act, and respond to everything we encounter. It becomes a quiet anchor that keeps us steady even when circumstances shift around us. With each moment, we are invited again to trust Him and follow His gentle leading with humility and peace, allowing grace to shape every step we take today with calm confidence within. Morning prayer also reminds us of gratitude, a simple yet powerful practice that softens our hearts and opens our eyes to God's goodness. Even in small things, there are countless blessings waiting to be noticed and received with thankfulness. The breath we take, the light we see, and the quiet moments we experience all become gentle signs of His care. When we begin our day with gratitude, we step into a posture of trust that allows joy to grow quietly within us and flow outward into the lives around us, bringing warmth, kindness, and gentle peace to every encounter today. As we continue this sacred rhythm of morning prayer, we discover that it becomes a source of healing for our weary places. The worries we carried into the night begin to loosen their hold, and the fears that once felt heavy begin to fade in the presence of God's peace. There is a quiet renewal that takes place when we rest our hearts in Him. We are gently reminded that we do not have to carry everything alone, because He is always with us, guiding and strengthening us with faithful love. Each morning becomes a new beginning filled with hope. In the quiet unfolding of a new morning, there is a sacred invitation to rest deeply in God's presence without striving or fear. We do not need to prove ourselves or earn His love, for it is already given freely and completely. As we pause and breathe in this awareness, our hearts begin to soften, and the tension we carried begins to ease. God meets us not in perfection, but in sincerity, welcoming us exactly as we are with open and compassionate arms. This gentle acceptance allows us to release the pressure we often place upon ourselves and instead receive the peace that comes from simply being with Him. There is something profoundly healing about starting the day in stillness, where the noise of the world has not yet taken hold of our attention. In this sacred space, we are able to hear the quiet whispers of God's guidance more clearly. His voice does not rush or overwhelm, but gently leads us with wisdom and calm assurance. As we listen, we begin to notice a shift within us, a movement from anxiety toward trust, from confusion toward clarity, This is not something forced, but something that unfolds naturally when we choose to remain present with Him. Each moment becomes an opportunity to rest deeper in His care and to trust that He is guiding us step by step. As the morning continues, we carry this quiet connection with us into the rhythm of our daily lives. Whether we are facing responsibilities, challenges, or simple routines, the awareness of God's presence becomes a steady source of comfort. We are no longer moving through the day alone, but walking alongside a loving presence that understands every detail of our journey. This awareness transforms even ordinary moments into sacred experiences, where grace can be found in small acts and simple choices. It reminds us that every step we take matters, and that God is present in all of it, offering guidance and strength exactly when we need it. There may be moments when we feel overwhelmed or uncertain, when the peace of the morning seems distant or difficult to hold on to. In those times, we are gently invited to return again to that place of stillness within. It does not require a perfect setting or long periods of time, only a willing heart that turns back toward God. Even a quiet breath or a simple thought can become a prayer, reconnecting us to His presence. This returning is not a failure, but a beautiful reminder that we are always welcome in His presence, no matter how many times we need to come back throughout the day. God's presence is not limited to certain moments or specific conditions. It is constant, steady, and faithful, surrounding us even when we are not fully aware of it. When we begin our day with Him, we train our hearts to recognize this presence more easily as the hours unfold. We begin to notice His guidance in our decisions, His comfort in our struggles, and His joy in our moments of gratitude. This awareness deepens our relationship with Him and allows us to move through life with a sense of peace that is not dependent on circumstances. It becomes a quiet foundation that supports us through both ease and difficulty. There is also a gentle invitation to trust that God is working in ways we cannot always see or understand. Sometimes we may desire immediate answers or clear direction, yet God often works through patience and gradual unfolding. As we rest in His presence, we learn to trust His timing and His wisdom, even when it does not align with our expectations. This trust brings a deep sense of peace, allowing us to release the need for control and instead embrace the journey with openness and faith. We begin to understand that His plans are shaped by love, and that He is always guiding us toward what is good and meaningful. In this peaceful beginning, we are also reminded to extend the same gentleness we receive from God toward ourselves and others. As His presence fills us with compassion and understanding, we are invited to share that with the people we encounter throughout the day. A kind word, a patient response, or a moment of listening can become an expression of His love flowing through us. In this way, our morning prayer does not remain within us, but becomes something that reaches outward, touching lives in quiet and meaningful ways. As we continue this journey of resting in God's presence, we discover that it is not a one-time experience, but a daily practice that grows deeper over time. Each morning becomes a new opportunity to begin again, to return to stillness, and to receive His peace. With each day, our hearts become more attuned to His voice and more grounded in His love. And in that gentle rhythm, we find a lasting sense of calm, purpose, and quiet joy that carries us through every moment. As this new day gently unfolds before us, we come with open hearts, ready to speak with God in sincerity and trust. Dear Lord, in this quiet moment, we turn our thoughts toward You, laying down every chinta, every burden, and every hidden fear that we may be carrying within. We do not need to hold them tightly anymore, because You invite us to place everything into Your loving hands. You understand us fully, even when we struggle to understand ourselves. You see beyond our worries and into the deeper places of our hearts where Your peace longs to dwell. In this sacred exchange, we release control and embrace the calm assurance that You are already at work in our lives. Father, we thank You for the gift of this morning, for the breath in our lungs and the light that gently awakens the world around us. We recognize that every new day is an opportunity to begin again, to walk more closely with You, and to grow in faith and trust. Help us to move through this day with awareness of your presence, remembering that we are never alone in anything we face. When we feel uncertain, remind us that your wisdom is guiding us. When we feel weak, remind us that your strength is within us. Let our hearts remain anchored in the truth that your love never changes, no matter what circumstances we encounter. Lord, we gently declare that today will not be ruled by fear or anxiety, but by peace and trust in you. We choose to believe that you are making a way, even when we cannot yet see it clearly. We declare that your grace is sufficient for every challenge we may face, and that your presence is a steady light, guiding each step we take. Let our words be filled with kindness, our actions with compassion, and our thoughts with clarity and calm. May we reflect your love in the way we treat others, becoming a quiet source of encouragement and hope to those around us. Let everything we do today be rooted in your peace. In moments when we are tempted to rush or become overwhelmed, gently remind us to pause and return to you. Teach us to breathe deeply and remember that you are near, closer than we often realize. Even in the middle of a busy day, help us to find small moments of stillness where we can reconnect with your presence. Let these moments become a source of renewal, restoring our strength and calming our minds. We do not need long or perfect prayers, only a heart that turns toward you with honesty and trust. In those simple moments, you meet us with grace and understanding. We also lift up the people we will encounter today, asking that your love would extend through us into their lives. Help us to be patient when others are struggling, gentle when tensions arise, and understanding when differences appear. Let us not react quickly with frustration, but respond with wisdom and care. May our presence bring peace rather than conflict, and may our words bring healing rather than harm. Guide us in every interaction so that we may reflect your character in a way that is both quiet and powerful. Lord, we surrender our plans to you, trusting that your ways are higher and your vision is greater than our own. Even when things do not unfold as we expect, help us to remain grounded in faith rather than disappointment. Remind us that delays are not denials, and that your timing is always filled with purpose. Give us the patience to wait and the courage to move forward when you call us to act. In every situation, let our hearts remain steady, knowing that you are guiding us with love and wisdom beyond our understanding. As we continue through this day, we hold on to the truth that we are deeply loved and carefully guided. Let this truth shape the way we see ourselves and the world around us. May we walk with quiet confidence, not because we have all the answers, but because we trust the one who does. Fill our hearts with a peace that surpasses understanding and a strength that carries us gently through every moment. As the morning light continues to rise, we step forward into the unfolding day with a quiet awareness that God walks beside us in every moment. This awareness is not loud or overwhelming, but soft and steady, like a gentle presence that never leaves. We carry within us the peace we received in the early hours, allowing it to guide our thoughts and shape our responses. Even as the world around us becomes busier, we are invited to remain centered in that calm place within, where God's presence continues to dwell. This inner stillness becomes a refuge we can return to again and again, no matter what we encounter throughout the day. There is a quiet strength that grows when we choose to move through life with faith instead of fear. It does not remove challenges or difficulties, but it changes the way we experience them. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, we begin to trust that each situation is held within God's care. This trust allows us to respond with patience rather than frustration, with understanding rather than judgment. We begin to see that every moment, even the difficult ones, can become an opportunity to grow in grace and deepen our reliance on Him. In this way, our faith becomes something living and active, gently shaping the way we move through the world. Throughout the day, we may encounter moments that test our peace or challenge our patience. In these times, we are gently reminded to pause and reconnect with God's presence. A simple breath, a quiet prayer, or even a moment of stillness can bring us back to that place of calm assurance. We do not need to strive to fix everything on our own, because God is already present within the situation, working in ways we may not yet see. When we remember this, our hearts begin to soften, and we are able to respond with greater clarity and compassion. This gentle returning becomes a rhythm that carries us through the day with grace. As we continue walking in faith, we begin to notice how God's presence influences even the smallest details of our lives. The way we speak, the way we listen, and the way we treat others all become reflections of the peace we carry within. We become more attentive, more patient, and more aware of the needs of those around us. In these small acts of kindness and understanding, God's love is quietly revealed. We may not always see the impact of these moments, but they carry a gentle power that can bring comfort and encouragement to others in ways we may never fully realize. There is also an invitation to trust God not only in what we understand, but also in what remains uncertain. Life does not always unfold according to our plans, and there are times when we may feel confused or unsure of the path ahead. In these moments, faith becomes a quiet anchor that holds us steady. We are reminded that God's wisdom extends far beyond our own understanding, and that His guidance is always leading us towards something meaningful. Even when we cannot see the full picture, we can choose to trust that He is working with purpose and care in every detail of our journey. As the day moves forward, we are encouraged to remain gentle with ourselves as well. There may be moments when we feel tired, distracted, or less focused than we would like to be. Instead of becoming discouraged, we can respond with the same compassion that God offers us. We are learning, growing, and moving forward step by step, and that is enough. Each moment is an opportunity to begin again, to return to His presence, and to continue walking in faith. This gentle approach allows us to move through the day without harsh judgment, embracing instead a spirit of grace and patience. In this steady rhythm of faith, we begin to experience a deeper sense of peace that is not easily shaken by external circumstances. It becomes a quiet foundation beneath everything we do, supporting us through both simple moments and complex challenges. We are no longer defined by the pressures around us, but by the presence within us. This shift changes the way we see the world, allowing us to move with calm, confidence, and quiet trust, knowing that we are held securely in God's care. As the hours pass, we continue to walk gently, aware that every step is guided by a love that never fails. We do not need to rush or strive to control every outcome, because we trust that God is leading us with wisdom and care. In this trust, we find freedom to simply move forward with openness and faith, allowing each moment to unfold naturally. And in that gentle unfolding, we discover that God is present not only at the beginning of the day, but in every step we take along the way. As we continue through the day, there is a gentle invitation to trust God, not only in the quiet moments, but in every detail that unfolds before us. Trust is not always loud or dramatic. Often, it is a quiet decision made deep within the heart. It is the choice to believe that God is present even when we do not feel Him strongly, and that He is working even when we cannot see immediate results. This kind of trust grows slowly, like a seed planted in stillness, nourished by faith and strengthened through daily surrender. As we lean into this trust, we begin to experience a deeper peace that does not depend on circumstances, but rests securely in God's unchanging nature. There are moments in the day when things may not go as planned, when interruptions arise or expectations are not met. In these moments, it is easy to become frustrated or discouraged. Yet, we are gently reminded that God is not surprised by any of these situations. What feels like a disruption to us may be part of a greater purpose that we cannot yet understand. When we choose to trust Him in these moments, we release the need to control everything and instead open our hearts to His guidance. This does not mean we ignore our feelings, but that we place them gently into His hands, allowing His peace to steady us once again. Trusting God also means believing that He is guiding our steps, even when the path ahead feels unclear. We may not always have all the answers, or know exactly what to do next, but we can move forward with quiet confidence, knowing that He is leading us one step at a time. This kind of trust allows us to let go of anxiety about the future and instead focus on the present moment, where God's grace is already sufficient. As we take each step, we begin to notice how He provides what we need at just the right time, often in ways we did not expect. Throughout the day, we may also encounter situations that challenge our patience or test our faith. In these moments, trusting God means choosing to respond with calm rather than reacting in haste. It means taking a pause, breathing deeply, and remembering that His presence is with us even now. This pause creates space for wisdom to enter, allowing us to respond in a way that reflects His love rather than our frustration. Over time, these small choices begin to shape our character, forming within us a quiet strength that carries us through even the most difficult moments. There is also a beautiful freedom that comes with trusting God fully. When we release the need to have everything figured out, we create space for peace to grow within us. We no longer carry the weight of trying to control every outcome, because we trust that God is already holding everything together. This freedom allows us to live more fully in the present, to notice the small blessings around us, and to experience joy in simple moments. It reminds us that life is not meant to be lived in constant worry, but in a steady awareness of God's faithful presence. As we continue to walk through the day, we are invited to keep returning to this place of trust. It is not something we achieve once and then hold on to perfectly, but something we choose again and again. Each time we return, our trust grows a little deeper, and our hearts become a little more at peace. We begin to see that God is not distant or removed, but actively involved in every part of our lives, guiding us with love and wisdom. Trusting God also shapes the way we interact with others. When we are grounded in His peace, we are less likely to react out of fear or insecurity. Instead, we are able to extend patience, kindness, and understanding to those around us. Our words become more gentle, our actions more thoughtful, and our presence more calming. In this way, our trust in God not only transforms our inner world, but also touches the lives of those we encounter throughout the day. As the day continues to unfold, we hold on to the quiet assurance that God is with us in every moment. We do not need to strive or worry, because we are held securely in His care. With each breath, each step, and each decision, we are invited to trust Him more deeply. And in that trust, we find a peace that carries us gently through the day, reminding us that we are never alone and always guided by His faithful love. As the day gently continues, we are invited to settle even deeper into the peace that comes from knowing God is always with us. This peace is not dependent on everything going smoothly, but on the quiet assurance that we are never walking alone. Even when the pace of the day increases and responsibilities begin to demand our attention, there remains a calm place within us where God's presence dwells. It is here that we can return again and again, drawing strength and comfort from His nearness. This inner stillness becomes a sanctuary, a place where we are reminded that no matter what unfolds around us, we are held securely in His loving care. There are moments when we may feel the weight of expectations or the pressure to keep up with everything around us. In these times, it is easy to lose sight of the peace we experienced earlier. Yet God gently calls us back, not with urgency, but with compassion. He reminds us that we do not have to carry everything on our own. When we pause, even briefly, and turn our thoughts back to Him, we begin to feel that familiar sense of calm returning. It is not something we have to force, but something we receive as we open our hearts once again to His presence. Peace in God's presence also teaches us to slow down internally, even when life around us remains busy. We may still have tasks to complete and responsibilities to fulfill, but we no longer move with the same sense of anxiety or haste. Instead, we carry a quiet steadiness within us, allowing us to approach each task with clarity and intention. This shift changes not only how we experience the day, but also how we impact those around us. Our calm presence can bring reassurance to others, offering a gentle reminder that peace is possible even in the midst of busyness. As we continue, we may encounter unexpected situations that challenge our sense of control. Plans may change, difficulties may arise, or we may find ourselves facing something we did not anticipate. In these moments, God's peace becomes even more precious. It reminds us that while we may not control everything, we can trust the one who does. This trust allows us to respond with grace rather than fear, with patience rather than frustration. We begin to see that even in uncertainty, there is a steady foundation beneath us that cannot be shaken. God's faithful presence also invites us to release the need to constantly strive for perfection. We are often our own harshest critics, placing expectations on ourselves that are difficult to meet. Yet God does not approach us with criticism, but with love and understanding. He sees our efforts, our intentions, and our desire to do what is right. When we begin to see ourselves through His eyes, we are able to extend greater compassion to ourselves. We learn to accept our imperfections and to continue forward with grace rather than discouragement. This gentle acceptance opens the door for deeper peace to take root within us. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or to measure our worth based on achievements or outcomes. Instead, we rest in the truth that we are already loved and valued by God. This truth becomes a source of freedom, allowing us to live with greater authenticity and less fear of failure. We are free to grow, to learn, and to move forward without the burden of unrealistic expectations. Throughout the day, we are also reminded to remain aware of the small moments where God's presence is quietly revealed. It may be in a kind word from someone, a brief moment of beauty, or a sense of calm that comes unexpectedly. These moments are gentle reminders that God is near, working in ways both seen and unseen. When we take the time to notice them, our hearts are filled with gratitude, and our awareness of His presence deepens even more. As we carry this peace with us, it begins to shape the way we live and interact with others. We become more patient, more understanding, and more willing to listen. Our responses are no longer driven by stress or urgency, but by a calm confidence rooted in God's presence. In this way, His peace not only transforms our inner world, but also becomes something we share with those around us. As the day continues to unfold, we hold on to this gentle awareness that God is with us in every moment. We do not need to rush or worry because His presence is steady and unchanging. In this peace, we find strength, clarity, and a quiet joy that carries us forward. And as we remain in this awareness, we discover that His faithful presence is more than enough for everything we will face today. As the day gently stretches onward, we are invited to rest more deeply in the truth that God's love for us does not shift or fade with circumstances. It remains constant, steady, and unwavering, even when our emotions rise and fall. There is a quiet comfort in knowing that we are held by a love that is not dependent on our performance, our mood, or the outcomes of our day. This love surrounds us in every moment, offering reassurance when we feel uncertain and strength when we feel weak. When we pause to remember this, our hearts begin to settle, and we find a calm that reaches deeper than anything the world can offer. There may be moments when we question ourselves or feel inadequate in what we are doing. Perhaps we feel we have not done enough, or that we have fallen short in some way. In these moments, God's love gently reminds us that our worth is not measured by our achievements, but by His unchanging grace. We are already seen, already known, and already loved completely. This truth softens the harsh voices within us and replaces them with a gentle assurance that we are enough in His eyes. As we begin to accept this, we move through the day with greater peace and less pressure to prove ourselves. God's unchanging love also becomes a source of strength when we face challenges or difficulties. It does not remove the obstacles before us, but it gives us the courage to face them with a steady heart. We are reminded that we are not facing anything alone, but that God is walking with us, guiding us and supporting us every step of the way. This awareness allows us to move forward with quiet confidence, even when we do not have all the answers. We trust that His love will sustain us, no matter what we encounter. As we continue through the day, we may find ourselves in situations that test our patience or stir up frustration. In these moments, we are gently invited to respond from a place of love rather than reaction. This does not always come easily, but as we remain connected to God's presence, we begin to notice a shift within us. We become more patient, more understanding, and more willing to extend grace to others. This is not something we force, but something that flows naturally when we allow His love to fill our hearts. There is also a quiet invitation to extend this same love toward ourselves. We are often quick to offer kindness and understanding to others, yet slow to give it to ourselves. God's love teaches us to be gentle with our own hearts, to recognize that we are growing and learning each day. When we make mistakes or feel discouraged, we can return to His presence and receive the same compassion He freely gives. This allows us to move forward without carrying the weight of guilt or shame, but instead with a renewed sense of hope. As the hours pass, we begin to notice how God's love shapes the way we see the world around us. Situations that once felt overwhelming begin to feel more manageable, and interactions that once caused tension begin to soften. We start to see others through a lens of compassion, recognizing that everyone is carrying their own burdens and struggles. This awareness helps us respond with kindness and patience, creating moments of connection and understanding that bring quiet peace into our day. God's love also reminds us to remain present in each moment, rather than becoming consumed by worries about the future or regrets from the past. When we focus too much on what has not yet happened or what has already passed, we can lose sight of the peace that is available to us right now. By gently returning our attention to the present, we open ourselves to the grace that is already here. In this moment, God's love is real, active, and available, inviting us to rest and receive it fully. As we continue walking through this day, we carry with us the quiet assurance that we are deeply loved and never alone. This truth becomes a steady foundation beneath everything we do, supporting us through both simple moments and unexpected challenges. We do not need to strive or fear, because we are held securely in God's care. With each step, we are reminded that His love goes before us, stays beside us, and gently leads us forward. In this awareness, we find a lasting peace that does not fade with changing circumstances. It remains with us, guiding us gently and reminding us of who we are in God's eyes. And as we rest in this unchanging love, we discover a quiet strength that carries us through the rest of the day with calm, confidence, and gentle faith. As the day continues to unfold, we are gently invited to become more aware of how God is guiding us in quiet and subtle ways. His guidance does not always come in loud or obvious forms, but often through a gentle nudge within our hearts, a sense of peace about a decision, or a quiet hesitation that encourages us to pause. When we learn to listen to these subtle movements, we begin to walk more closely with Him, allowing His wisdom to shape our choices and direct our steps. This kind of awareness requires a quiet heart, one that is willing to slow down and remain open to His leading throughout the day. There is a deep beauty in learning to trust God's guidance, even when it does not fully make sense to us. We may not always understand why we feel led in a certain direction, or why certain doors seem to close while others open. Yet, as we continue to walk in faith, we begin to see that His guidance is always rooted in love and purpose. Even when the path feels uncertain, we can trust that He is leading us towards something meaningful. This trust allows us to move forward with peace instead of hesitation, knowing that we are being guided by a wisdom far greater than our own. As we become more attentive to God's guidance, we also learn the importance of patience. Not every answer comes immediately, and not every situation is resolved quickly. There are times when waiting becomes part of the journey, teaching us to remain steady and trust in God's timing. In these moments, we are invited to rest rather than rush, to trust rather than strive. This waiting is not empty, but filled with quiet growth, as our faith deepens and our hearts become more aligned with His will. Through patience, we learn that God's timing is always intentional and filled with care. Throughout the day, we may find ourselves making both small and significant decisions. In each of these moments, we are invited to pause and consider God's presence with us. Even a brief moment of reflection can bring clarity and peace, helping us to choose wisely and act with intention. This practice of inviting God into our decisions transforms the way we live, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for connection and trust. Over time, this becomes a natural rhythm, where we no longer rely solely on our own understanding, but lean gently into His guidance. There are also times when we may feel uncertain about whether we are truly hearing God's guidance or simply our own thoughts. In these moments, we can return to the qualities of His presence, peace, clarity, and gentle assurance. God's guidance does not lead us into confusion or fear, but into a place of calm and steady direction. When we feel overwhelmed or pressured, it may be a sign to pause and reconnect with His presence before moving forward. This discernment grows stronger as we continue to seek Him with sincerity and trust. God's guidance is also reflected in the people and situations He places in our lives. Sometimes, a kind word from someone, an unexpected opportunity, or even a challenge can become a form of direction. When we remain open and attentive, we begin to see how God is working through these moments to shape our path. This awareness helps us to move through the day with greater confidence, knowing that we are not navigating life alone, but are being gently led in every step we take. As we embrace God's guidance, we also learn to release the need for certainty in every detail. We may not always know the full picture or understand every step along the way, but we can trust that God does. This trust allows us to move forward with a sense of peace, even when the path is not fully clear. It frees us from the pressure of needing to have everything figured out and invites us to walk by faith instead of by sight. In this gentle journey of following God's guidance, we begin to experience a deeper sense of purpose and direction. Our days are no longer driven by urgency or confusion, but by a quiet confidence that we are being led with love and care. This does not mean that every moment is easy, but that every moment is held within His presence. And in that presence, we find the strength to continue, the wisdom to choose well, and the peace to trust each step along the way. As the day moves forward, we carry this awareness with us, allowing it to shape how we think, act, and respond. We remain open, attentive, and willing to follow wherever God leads. And in doing so, we discover that His guidance is not something distant or difficult to find, but something gently present within us, leading us step by step with quiet faithfulness and enduring love. As the day gently begins to draw toward its close, we are invited to pause and reflect on all that has unfolded. This is not a time for harsh judgment or deep analysis, but a moment of gentle awareness. We look back with soft eyes, noticing both the moments of peace and the times when we struggled. In all of it, God has been present, quietly walking beside us, guiding us even when we were not fully aware. This reflection becomes an act of gratitude, where we recognize that we have been carried through the day with more grace than we often realize. There is something deeply comforting about ending the day with gratitude. It shifts our focus away from what may have gone wrong and gently draws our attention to the many small ways God has been faithful. Perhaps it was a moment of unexpected calm, a kind interaction, or simply the strength to keep going when things felt difficult. These moments, though they may seem small, are evidence of God's presence in our lives. When we take the time to notice them, our hearts begin to fill with thankfulness, and a quiet joy starts to grow within us. As we reflect, we may also become aware of moments where we felt distant from peace or acted in ways we wish we could change. Instead of holding on to regret or self-criticism, we are invited to bring these moments gently before God. He does not meet us with condemnation, but with understanding and mercy. In His presence, we are free to acknowledge our imperfections without fear. This honesty becomes a pathway to healing, allowing us to release what we carry and receive His forgiveness with open hearts. God's mercy is not something we earn, but something we are freely given. As we rest in this truth, we begin to understand that each day is not defined by perfection, but by grace. What matters is not that we never falter, but that we continue to return to Him with sincerity. In this returning, we find renewal. The weight of the day begins to lift, and we are reminded that we are always held within His love, no matter what we have experienced. As the evening settles, we are also invited to release everything we are still holding on to. The worries about tomorrow, the questions that remain unanswered, and the burdens we have carried throughout the day can all be placed gently into God's hands. We do not need to solve everything before we rest. Instead, we trust that God will continue to work even as we sleep, preparing the way for what is ahead. This surrender allows our hearts to relax, creating space for true rest and peace. In this quiet moment, we can also offer a simple prayer of thanks. Thank you, Lord, for being with us throughout this day. Thank you for the strength you provided, the peace you gave, and the love you showed in both seen and unseen ways. Thank you for guiding us, even when we did not realize it, and for holding us steady through every moment. As we speak these words, our hearts become lighter, filled with a gentle sense of gratitude and trust. There is a deep peace that comes from ending the day in God's presence. It is a peace that does not depend on how the day went, but on the assurance that we are loved and cared for. This peace becomes a gentle covering over our hearts, allowing us to rest without fear. We are reminded that we do not need to carry the weight of the day into tomorrow because God has already taken it into His care. As we prepare to rest, we hold on to the quiet truth that tomorrow is another opportunity to begin again. Whatever today held, it is now complete, and we are free to step into a new day with fresh hope. God's love will meet us there just as it has met us today, steady and unchanging. With this assurance, we allow ourselves to rest fully, trusting that we are safe in His presence. And so, we close this day with a heart that is calm, grateful, and at peace. We release all that has been and all that is yet to come, placing everything into God's faithful hands. In this gentle surrender, we find rest for our souls and quiet trust for the journey ahead. As this gentle journey comes to a close, we rest in the quiet assurance that God has been with us through every moment of this day. From the first light of morning to this peaceful ending, His presence has remained constant, guiding, comforting, and sustaining us in ways both seen and unseen. We may not have noticed every moment, but His love has never wavered. Now, as we prepare to rest, we are invited to release everything into His care, trusting that He will continue to watch over us through the night. Let your heart be still and unburdened. Whatever remains unfinished, whatever questions linger, and whatever concerns may rise about tomorrow, place them gently into God's hands. You do not need to carry them any further. In this sacred moment, allow His peace to settle over you like a soft covering, bringing calm to your thoughts and rest to your soul. You are safe, you are loved, and you are held securely in His faithful presence. Let us offer a final prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for walking with us today. Thank you for your peace, your guidance, and your unchanging love. As we rest, renew our strength, and prepare our hearts for a new day. Help us to wake again with trust and hope. We surrender all to you. Amen.